Thank you very much for the questions. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Arya Wirayuda. I am PhD student at Eötvös Loránd University, Budapest, Hungary. I would like to thank the committee ALTERSEA conference for having me in this first conference. That grateful for me to attend here. Even in this situation, we cannot see each other offline. In these occasions, I would like to point out my part of research titled Islamism's Economy and Authoritarianisms in Indonesia. The first, my keywords are Islamism's Islamic economics movement, new orders, authoritarianisms in Indonesia. The relationship between Islamism and the Indonesian economic system is relatively recent inquiry. A body of literature has examined aspects and influence, but some other elements is in the history of Islamic economics are still understudied, especially in the context of Indonesia under new other authoritarianisms. In particular, models and ideas advocated of Islam's economic movement resonated with anti-dictatorships, ideas and oppositions of Indonesian Islamists. Indonesian authoritarian government saw Islamism as both negative and positive. Negatively, as Islamism was seen as a hidden or overt threat to the authoritarian New Order government, controlling and repressing Muslim activists and civil society became the most powerful method in the middle of the compromise with various ideological discourses for decades. In the New Order, particularly know how to uh, government outdoor capitalism. Positively, Islamist groups were seen as a potential force to support government. The study of the history of Indonesia in Indonesia studies the relationship between Islamism and politics, but at the same time has not examined the relationship between Islamism and the Islamic economic movement. In fact, under the shadow of Thai government supervision, Islamic economic practice emerged dynamically in the new order. The models and the ideas advocated by the Islamic economic movement resonated with the ideas of anti-dictatorship and opposition from Indonesian movement. Uh, my questions are: how was the relationship between Islamic economics and Indonesian terrorism? How Indonesian Muslim organizations strategically use Islamic economics and Islamist economic values to fight against dictatorships. Uh, yeah, the Islamist concept, as far as I know, as we know, that Islamic economic is a business or activity carried based on Quran, Sunnah, and Islamic jurisprudence. But debatable issues regarding Islamic jurisprudence, especially how to the interpretations had many differences between nations and locally and nationally. The Islamic economic activity system is pro-pure without being encouraged tolerance, patience, humanism, and others. Uh, yeah, many improvement in Islamic economic concepts, but Indonesia still limited. As I know, in all orders and new order era. But Islamic banks established in Indonesia in 1991. Even though some economic practices show Indonesian is really Islamics in economics, particularly how to many Muslim organizations express and practices Islamics in their economic activity. Indonesian authoritarianism is a unique issues, unique notion, but the central ideas of authoritarianism, such as high-handedness, arbitrariness, and rigidity. Non-aspects of authoritarianism contains conventionalism, authoritarianism, submission, and other. But some scholars also prefer semi-authoritarianism in Indonesia, especially in New Order era, because of political equilibrium or stagnations continue even while the countries underwent rapid economic alter. For me, really interesting if I correlate with semi-authoritarianism in the economic system when in the New Order era in 1980s, 1990s. Authoritarianism in Islam, the relationship between conservatism and dogmatism tending to favor dictatorship had a strong connections. Several cases show that conservatisms, conservatisms or the actions of authoritarian Islamic organizations were dealing with an autocratic system government. Islamic activists also had to negotiate with authoritarianisms. New Order employed oppressive methods, beginning as a pure military dictatorships, especially in 1980s, 1990s. However, the bright developmental success cause of this experience was violence, disrespect for the rule of law and denial of political and individual rights, not to mention the environmental attack. Suharto and his followers adopted, modified, and developed synchronous authoritarianisms in guided democracy with different contexts. Uh, Most Islamic organizations were placed under networks of state patronage and tight administrative control by the New Order administrations, primarily through establishing the Department of Religions. We can put also MUI in 1970 in the late in 1970s when the MUI was established by government. MUI uh, as a bridge of a new order and the civil society at the time, especially the Muslim interests or degrees or etc. From 1988 to 1975, Suharto insisted on the importance of development and religion as a motivating factor for development, given the government enhanced support and accommodation of Muslims community. Muslim communities saw that it is an opportunity to introduce Islamic economic, even the Islamic economic ideas, particularly Indonesian ideas, Indonesian interfaces, was introduced by some organizations, some prominent scholars, Muslim scholars in the 19th start in the 1930s until 1970s. But this policy from new government is the big opportunity, the big chance for Muslim organization, Muslim activists to improve uh, their method, their way to ground their Islamic values, especially economic systems. Islamism contains Islamist economic discourses, but the application of Islamic economics in the early days of independence was quite problematic and continued for the future decades. But we can notice that some regulations, some policies uh, uh, adapt also Islamic values. We can see in 1945 the constitutions and the implementation of agrarian law also in 1960 and 1974 and etc. Muslim cooperation with Suharto's regime during the New Order was motivated by religious as well as pragmatic considerations. The consolidation of the government with Muslim activists in the 1980 until 1990s resulted in a concrete form of the application of Islamic economics. It was an effort to Islamize capitalism and reflected an essential contentious. The Islamic movement, we can notice that some Muslim organizations um, took the important role of the Islamic economic movement. We can notice the organizations such as the Muhammadiyah, NU, IH, ICMI, HMI, uh, yeah, and the HMI also HMI in the 1980 1990s. At the beginning of the new era, Muhammadiyah struggled to implement Islamic economics, but in 1980s they changed their interpretations with NO also they identified interest as interest riba or unsuri as fluid issue uh, or in Arabic mutasabihat, a legal issue that is not clear, that needs more extensive scrutiny. The Muhammadiyah allowed its members to the transaction with existing banks while urging its members to establish a more Islamic banking system. The Muhammadiyah recognized that the state banks Bank Mega had played an essential role in economic development and the Muslims could not isolate themselves from the influence of the banks. We can notice also how to pesantrens and the NGO that that has strong relationship with the pesantren of the NU. Nahdlatul Ulama, we can say that P3M Perhimpunan dan Pengembangan Pesantren dan Masyarakat in partnership in the 1980s 1990s. Uh, we can see the interesting method of the NU when the NU was led by Abdurrahman Wahid or Gus Dur. Abdurrahman Wahid freed the Indonesian government to be more directly involved in working with pesantren as vehicles for rural development and economic growth. But at the same time, he encouraged New Zuma Bank and opposed the Islamic Bank. Islamic Bank, this is directly to mainly the BMI, Bank Muamalah Indonesia, that was founded in 1990. That was supported by MUI and ICMI. We can notice also the actor, the prominent actor, the important actor is this LP3S. The LP3S encouraged Pesante to take an active part in rural social and economic development in the 1990s. Links in five provinces, West Java, Central Java, East Java, and another. Now, please. Uh, ICMI sponsored the formation of an Islamic bank operated according to modernist interpretations of Islamic banking principles, including the prohibitions on charging interest or riba. The ICMI movement, They founded 1001 BMTs and Islamic rural banks in 1994. The government supported ICMI, which several figures in it networked with a modern Islamic organizations such as HMI and Muhammadiyah. Certain individuals, such as graduates of the Islamic Students Associations, had emerged to participate in the economic sectors because of their education and training. The MUI frequently applauded Sukarno's development program's success, although with misgivings. It is the interesting, interesting interesting choice of MUA when the MUA was founded in 1975 by government, but in 1990s, the MUA was really careful to support the government with misgiving also. Uh, for instance, in 1993, the NUA founded an economic agency called Activating Agency for the Community's Economics, Badan Penggerak Umat, or BPEU. Even though Propositaja, private businessman, and Suharto's older brother was named chair. We can see the competition between ICMI also with NU regarding Islamic issue at the time in 1990s when Abdurrahman Wahid criticized the Islamic Bank is not really Islamic because many debatable issues regarding riba and interest, usury, and another complex problem interpretations regarding Islamics, but at the same time, IZMI was supported by government and the NGO was led by Abdurrahman Wahid had a different movement of how to practice Islamic economics regarding the past and development was supported by PTM and LPTES in the 1980s and 1990s. The Bank Muamalah Indonesia (BMI), as I told before, was officially created in signed by more than 50 high-ranking officials and businessmen, even now supported by specific rules regarding Sharia banking as a legal umbrella. Yeah, this is very unique. How the Islamic economic system grown in Indonesia, but without any specific rules and certain rules as a legal umbrella. Bank Syariah, but Bank Syariah or BMI continue to improve itself. Uh, they had the profit sharing rules in 1990s, uh, but law of the Republic of Indonesia, number 7 of blah blah, concerning banking did not explicitly state the concept of fikih muamalah in bank operation being bank on Sharia principles. New economic practices, we can say about this because most economic practice that organized by some Muslim organization and supported by government also since 1994, the National Sharia Arbitration Board, Basana Ford, which only acts as a mediator and is not was not legally binding. The practice of Islamic law in the economic was also fraught with various problems that rise due to the tug of war between the interests of the parties in economic matters. Meanwhile, there was no statutory regulation that explicitly regulates this issue. In my conclusion, that the Islamic economic movement was against the new order government because the new order government tends to be conventional, Western, and secular. Islamic economic as a vehicle to for grounding Islamic values. The Islamic economic was a pragmatic options for opposing and negotiating dictatorships. And the last, Islamism was negotiated with several other values from Middle East, especially how to linkages linkage between Islamic bank at the time, but at the same time, locally nationalists, the Islamic bank negotiated with another actor that another actor was influences were influenced by Western ideology and customs also to drive the Islamic economies. When we discipline with the concept of Islamic economics, it's not really regarding only of the two Islamic bank, but wider marketing issues regarding uh, Islamic economic system. Uh, okay, that's all. My presentations, I will be really grateful if any comment and any critics for make my research improve. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. Good evening and